Welcome to the Positive Thread podcast. I'm Heather McConaughey, registered nurse turned nutrition and mindset coach, podcast host, and inspirational speaker. I have a passion for empowering millennial women because, well, I'm the oldest of the millennials. Think of me like your big millennial sister, here to help you avoid all the mistakes that I made along the way and inspire you to dream big and achieve your goals. Every week, I'll bring you an interview, topic, or Q&A session that will inspire you to transform your body, mind, and soul so you can achieve your dreams and make a positive impact in the world. We believe that when women prioritize self-care, everyone wins. If that sounds good to you, you're in the right place. Are you ready? Let's start the show. Okay, summer is almost here and I'm so excited. Summer is one of my absolute favorite seasons. It's the season where I first got fit in my body and I mastered nutrition. There's so many healthy things to eat all summer, like smoothies, acai bowls, fresh fruit, shrimp tacos. The list just goes on and on. So I absolutely love getting more in shape in summer and really empowering other people to throw off the stress of this past year and really get empowered. So there's only 2 days left to apply to Empower, the Summer Glow Up Edition. We are going to start June 7th, but there's only 2 more days to apply because we've got to interview you and get you onboarded before we start on June 7th. So if you want to apply for one of these spots, they're going fast. Go to heathermcconaughey.com/empower to learn more about the program. See if it's the right fit for you. But don't delay, girl, because there's 2 days left to apply and get your butt over there. Let's do this. Welcome to today's episode. I'm so excited for this topic, y'all. We are going to talk about how to track macros and calories in a mentally healthy way. So obviously we're going to review physically healthy ways to do it, but I really want to empower you with a healthy mental perspective on tracking. I think a lot of times people get like in their heads about tracking. They're like, I don't want to track food. I feel like it's too restrictive. I'm going to create unhealthy patterns with my eating, etc., etc. And I'm here to dispel all of those myths for you today. Part of my philosophy around food is really eating the right quantity and the right quality of food in the right frequency for your body. So quantity is really important. We can't just eat, healthy foods in whatever quantities we want and expect to have the physique that we want, the energy, and the health that we want. We need to bring all those things together synergistically. So tracking our food allows us to do that. It gives us targets to hit so that we're not overeating and we're not undereating. So we're going to dive in and talk about some different mindset tricks and different things you can do to make sure that you're tracking food in a healthy way, mentally and emotionally. First thing is tracking does not equal restriction. Tracking equals data. I'm going to say that again. Tracking does not equal restriction. Tracking equals data. So a lot of times people immediately collapse tracking their food or counting macros or counting calories with restricting food, with depriving themselves, with trying to control their eating. So they're eating a small amount because they've been programmed or conditioned to think that the less I eat, the better I'll like my body. Okay, and it just doesn't work like that, y'all. Tracking gives you access to data, important data. It reveals to you your appetite. Some days you're more hungry, some days you're less hungry. You'll start to be like, wow, I'm really under eating, or like, wow, I really got the munchies today and I blew past my carbs. I wonder what's going on. Maybe I need more fuel. Maybe I worked out too hard. Maybe I'm about to get my period, all right? So that data is something that becomes so valuable for us in being empowered to understand our bodies and really take control of our eating for the rest of our lives. And that's really my goal with my programs, with my courses, with my coaching, is to empower you to have control over your body, to understand your body, understand how to fuel it. So you don't need to keep going to the internet and Googling how to lose fat when I'm 45 or whatever. Tracking is going to reveal a few things to you. It's going to show you if you need more or less food to reach your goals. Sometimes we're actually under eating and we don't realize it. So many of my clients come to me and potential clients come to me and they're under eating, but they're terrified of eating more. So tracking gives them a framework, a healthy framework to work inside of so that they're eating the nutrients they need, but they're staying within a framework so they feel safe as they increase their food. Tracking helps reveal what ratio of nutrients that your body is going to thrive on. So some of my clients need a little more carbs, some need less carbs, some needs higher fat, some I need to tweak their protein here or there. You can really dial in that ratio with your macronutrients where you feel amazing. It's also going to reveal for you your fueling your workouts. Do you need more fuel around certain workouts? And how is that affecting you? Ultimately, tracking all boils down to fueling you properly so that you're not under eating, you're not overeating, you're repairing your muscle tissue, and you're fueling your body for energy, for focus, for being your best self. Because the truth is, as women, we want to feel energized and vital and do all the things we want to do and not be reliant on stimulants to try to energize us. We can energize ourselves properly with exercise, rest, nutrition, and sleep. So to summarize, tracking does not equal restriction or deprivation. Tracking equals data. And when you make that mindset shift, it becomes really exciting and fun to track your food because you're gathering so much interesting data about your body. The second thing is keeping a food diary of any sort can actually help with binge eating disorder and overeating tendencies. And keeping a food diary can also help with weight loss. These are methods that are supported by research. A food diary is a framework to help you fuel yourself properly. It's not punishment, restriction, or deprivation. So actually in Overeaters Anonymous, which is a 12-step program for people who overeat food and have trigger foods and all of that, I've actually been to a few of their meetings. I don't identify with binge eating disorder, but I do identify with having periods in my life where I've definitely overeaten. There was one 4th of July where I was driving back from a party, and for some reason I felt really emotionally empty that day. I went to a barbecue, had fun with friends, and was driving home at like 4 or 5 p.m. after 4th of July. And I just felt completely empty. Like it was very strange. And I had brought cupcakes with me to the party and nobody ate them. So I took them home with me. I should have just left them there. But I put them in the seat in my car and I somehow ate all 6 of them on the way home and felt completely disgusting and ashamed and mortified that I had done that by the time I got home. So I definitely have had issues with overeating in my past. And so Overeaters Anonymous has been something that's helped me. And if you're struggling with overeating or binge eating tendencies, I really encourage you to check out Overeaters Anonymous. Their meetings are free and you can get great support there. In Overeaters Anonymous, they talk about the importance of having a food plan for the day, that you're not going to eat foods that are off your plan, that you're going to stay on track with your plan. And that's a really fundamental part of their methodology. And I also have found that with my clients as well, that having a plan for how you eat is really empowering. The third thing that we can do when we're tracking food is to remember that this isn't about deprivation and we want to aim for reasonable targets. So setting your calories and macros too low is a recipe for overeating later in the day or later in the week or having binges weeks later. We can't set our calories too low if we're committed to weight loss and shredding out a little bit, nor do we want to set them too high. I have experienced both working with coaches where the coach set my numbers a little bit too low and I was super hungry. Now they did raise my calories, but those first couple weeks were a little bit rough. And then I've had the experience where my coach pushed my calories too high and I started gaining weight and I said, hey, I don't think this is muscle. I'm pretty sure this is fat. And my coach was like, no, it's fine. And I was like, no, it's not fine. And it turns out that I was right. I was gaining fat because I had a body scan done and it was not muscle. So you are in touch with your body. You know how foods feel in your body. You know if you're force feeding yourself or you're stuffing yourself with food. Now, that said, I have worked with elite athletes who have very low body fat percentage. They burn at such a high rate, they're so active that they actually do need a lot of calories, and it can feel like they're force feeding themselves. But this, again, is the power of tracking because we're using data to help them achieve a goal with their fitness. Now, when you're tracking food, it's really important that you let go of the perfectionistic mentality. Tracking can be a recipe for disaster for type A perfectionists. So if you know that you have that bent and you are somebody who's more prone to perfectionism and type A behavior, it's important that you have a talk with yourself before you start tracking and you say, hey, I'm going to watch for these behaviors that show me I'm veering off into a mentally unhealthy relationship to tracking. So it's really important that you know yourself and how you respond to boundaries and targets and things like that. So to reiterate, do not worry about being absolutely perfect. It's very hard to actually get a 0 on your macros, meaning you hit those numbers exactly. And what I teach my clients to do, and what I encourage you to do, is focus on hitting your protein and carbs within 10 to 12 grams roughly up or down. So for example, if your target was 115 grams of protein a day, you would be on target if you ate 103 grams of protein, and you would be on target if you ate 127 grams of protein. Does that make sense? So plus or minus up and down on proteins and carbohydrates. Now, the reason this is for protein and carbs is they both have 4 calories per gram. So they are the same ratio. And so we can use that same target of up or down by 10 grams. But for fats, we want to have a tighter target because fats have 9 calories per gram. They have over twice as many calories for the same amount of weight of food. So it's really important that you are more precise with fats. So the target I set for fats is plus or minus 5 grams up or down on your fats. When you can let go of being perfect at your macros and focus on being consistent, you will have more freedom, a better relationship with tracking food, and you're still getting good results. I was talking to one of my clients recently and she was like, I went over my fats this week, and I was imagining it was going to be like over by 30 grams and it was only over by 8 grams. So again, let's let go of that perfectionistic mentality that gets us into a lot of trouble as women and focus on being consistent. Perfectionism is really a very dangerous, unhealthy relationship to the world. It's also secretly very egotistical. What do I mean by that? Well, when you are a perfectionist, you are basically believing that you can achieve states of perfection. I'm here to tell you, as a human being, you are never going to be perfect. You fall very short of perfection, and there's actually like nothing you can do to ever be perfect. So we can just let go of that goal, y'all. Like, let's just stop trying to be perfect. Now, the next thing I want to teach you is to use the tool to make life easier, not harder. So I hear a lot of people just be like, oh, tracking food, it's so tedious, or like time consuming, or I don't want to be on my phone, or I want to have less screen time, and all these things. And all those things are valid concerns. And I'm the same. I'm like, I don't want to be on my computer screen or my phone screen any more than I already am, right? Like I'm already on this thing so much. But I will say this, that oftentimes people are using that as an excuse to not do something that will actually set them up for their best health and their vitality and their energy. There are so many cool features within these tracking apps, and we use MyFitnessPal in my program with my clients, but there's so many cool features, like you can save meals, you can save recipes. I go to this one place for lunch in Austin. It's called Cenote. It's on East Cesar Chavez, and they have a really good turkey sandwich. And I always get half turkey sandwich with a side salad when I go there. I get the half turkey sandwich, no mayo, no cheese to keep my fats in check. And then I get the mango field salad. And it's like such a good lunch. Well, I've estimated that entire lunch and I've saved it in MyFitnessPal under meals So I know that it's the exact same thing I get every time. I can just add that to my diary with one click, y'all. It's so easy and simple. So you can go out to restaurants and track food and achieve your goals and it not be tedious. I don't even do it while I'm there. I'll either do it before I go to the restaurant or after. So I'm not pulling out my phone while I'm having lunch with a friend. My attention is fully on them. I'm not tracking my food in front of my friends or anything like that. But I am being committed to my goals and what I know works for my body. When we complain about things being tedious, what we're saying is that thing is long, slow, dull, tiresome, or monotonous. That's the definition of tedious. Here's the thing, y'all. Life by nature is tedious. Life is tiring. Life is monotonous. Life can be long, if you're lucky. Life can be slow. Life can be dull. This is part of the nature of life, and I think our society just wants everything to be super exciting and fun all the time and pleasurable, and we've forgotten that to be alive sometimes involves work, sometimes involves suffering, sometimes involves boredom, sometimes involves monotony, and that's okay. That said, tracking doesn't have to be monotonous, dull, tiresome, or long. You can actually use shortcuts to make it quick. You can listen to your favorite podcast while you're logging your food so that it feels more fun and less boring. And great results in life come from repetition of tedious tasks. I'll say it again. Great results in life come from repetition of tedious tasks. It's not always sexy and glamorous to get results. We see the result and the result looks sexy and glamorous, right, in someone's life, whether it's a body result that you admire, or maybe someone started a business and you can see them working from their laptop in Mexico and you think that looks super sexy and glamorous, or whatever the result is that you are admiring. But let me tell you, to get to that result actually took actions and behavior that was monotonous, that was dull, that was repetitive and tiresome and slow and long at times. All right, so if you want to change your body and you want to have a permanent sustainable shift, you need to be willing to engage in dull, monotonous behaviors at times. Meal prepping, grocery shopping, doing your dishes, logging food, going for walks, exercising. All those things can be inherently not super pleasurable. So we have to remember that and be okay with that as human beings. Okay, my next tip is about how to really slay the logging game, which is to pre-plan and pre-log your food. I preach this over and over and over again to my clients. I like to do this for myself a lot of the time. This is a great strategy if you don't want to spend a ton of time on your phone and you're going to simply plan the food that you're going to eat the next day. You're going to do it the night before. I know that y'all are sitting on your couch at night watching Netflix, Amazon Prime, Hulu, HBO, you're on TikTok, you're on Instagram stories. I know these things about y'all, okay? Because I'm you, and I know what I do in the evenings, which is look at my phone, watch some junky TV, and relax. Yes, I read books and chill out and listen to music, but I also turn on the TV sometimes, okay? So you have 5 minutes to do this. And when you get the hang of it, pre-planning and pre-logging your food will literally take you 5 minutes. It's that fast. It is like a game, y'all. Put a timer on your phone and be like, if I finish this in 5 minutes, I get to have a dance party to my favorite song. You gotta learn to have some fun in life and make life into a game sometimes. So once you've pre-logged your food, all you got to do is just follow your plan for the day. Super easy. And look, it doesn't mean that you can't tweak something on the go. It doesn't mean that you can't go in and edit a food or be like, you know what, I don't want this for lunch anymore. Let me see what else I can make that's going to fit my plan. But you have a framework. You have a plan to go through. And honestly, the days where I've pre-planned and pre-logged my food, I am so freaking productive in my work because I'm just able to sit and focus and work. And then when I'm hungry, I'm like, okay, cool. Let me look at my phone. What's for lunch? Great. Let me just make this chicken sandwich real quick. Boom, back to work. Okay, I'm hungry. It's 3 hours later. What's for my snack? Great. Protein yogurt bowl. Done. Eat it, go. It really relieves so much of my mental energy when I'm able to pre-plan and pre-log my food. Okay, my next tip is around taking breaks. So we're going to talk about taking breaks within the week and then kind of long term as well. So a lot of people don't feel like tracking their food for the rest of their life is sustainable. Here's the thing. Any habit you're committed to can be sustainable for the rest of your life. Like you brush your teeth every morning. My guess is that you believe that that habit is sustainable for the rest of your life. You wipe yourself after going to the bathroom. I believe that you think that that habit is sustainable for the rest of your life. So, really it comes down to your belief. You can make any activity or habit sustainable for the rest of your life if you want. Now, that said, it can be more challenging to log all your food that you eat every single day for the rest of your life, all right? So I'm always going to kind of argue both sides of the issue for you and then empower you to choose what's best for you. So how do we take like little mini breaks? So I have a concept called a free meal. You'll notice that it's not called a cheat meal because I do not believe that you are cheating or doing something morally wrong with your food when you are eating, all right? So I don't like to use the word cheat meal because it kind of implies that you're not allowed to eat other foods during the week that maybe you're craving, and I just don't believe that. I believe in eating foods in the right quantity and frequency for your goals. So a free meal is a focused period of not tracking your food. For example, you're going to take dinner off or you're going to a brunch. You're going to not track your food for that meal. You're not going to take a whole day off. You're going to just take that meal off. And this just gives you a mental break from tracking. What I love about a free meal is if you are in a calorie deficit and cutting calories, doing a free meal will give you a lot of like psychological break from that deficit. It also gives your body a lepton spike because you're probably going to eat a little bit more because you're not tracking it. A free meal shouldn't be like a binge meal. Don't go eat like 1,800 calories because you're going to feel really sick after and not great. So a free meal is still designed to be eaten within your normal hunger patterns, but paying attention to how you're feeling in addition to maybe letting yourself be a little more flexible with what you eat, it can create a very sustainable habit with tracking. Now, if you're in a maintenance period, maybe you can take 2 to 3 free meals a week. So with some of my clients, when they graduate, I coach them to keep doing their macros because they like that. It works for them, but they don't need to be as rigid all week long. So then they factor in like 2 to 3 free meals. Another thing you can do is take a free day. So like, let's say you track 6 days of the week and you're like, I just need a mental break. Go for it. Take a day off. Sometimes I do that on the weekend. I'll just take like Saturday off and just be like, I'm not going to track today. It's totally okay. And again, don't use it as an excuse to eat a bunch of foods that you know aren't great for you, that don't make you feel good, but like just chill out for a minute. It's okay. It's not going to ruin your results or anything. Now, if you take multiple days off tracking, that will affect your results. And sometimes I'll have a client who's stuck and I'll audit their diary and I'm like, well, you weren't consistently logging for 15 days of the month. That's going to make a difference. All right, another thing you can do is take a couple months off and focus on eating in the portions that you've learned are right for your body based on tracking. It's okay to take breaks, y'all. Remember, it's a tool in your toolbox, and it's not something that you need to rigidly use all the time. Now, sometimes I take breaks from tracking, but I often come back to tracking because I feel so much better on it. So yes, it's a little more effort or work, but I understand that things worth having in life take effort and work. And me feeling my best and being healthy and focused and my best mental health and energy is worth it to me. That's worth the effort of tracking. So you can always take breaks. You can always come back to it. Just remember that it's not a rigid tool. Lastly, I want to encourage you to have fun with tracking and approach tracking not as a chore, but really as a joy, something that is fun for you to do. It's an incredible learning process. Tracking foods taught me so much about the nutritional compositions of foods. I kind of wish there was like a game show where like they would put up a picture of an egg and like you'd have to press a buzzer and then like tell them what the macros were. Like, I'd be like 5 protein, 6 fat, 0 carbs. And like, whoever answered it correctly first, like you won points. I would crush that game, all right? And the reason why is because I've tracked so much food for myself that I've learned the nutritional composition of foods. And I love having so much knowledge and power. When people are like, nuts are high in protein, I'm like, Actually, girlfriend, they're like 16 gram fats, like 3 grams protein, like 8 carbs for 2 tablespoons of nut butter. Okay. You can check me on that. I think I'm pretty close. I don't have that written down anywhere. But that's the point of it, is that when you track, you actually learn a lot about foods. My clients often tell me that tracking their food and hitting their macros kind of feels like Tetris or like a fun math game. I don't know if I just dated myself by saying Tetris. I feel like that was kind of an old school game, but I loved Tetris. Anyway, side note, the point is have fun with tracking and really relish that it's a learning process. Remember to play, learn, and use it as a tool and take breaks from it. All of that will make it super sustainable and not an obsessive habit or tool that you are using in a way that's not empowering to you. I hope you enjoyed this episode. Feel free to send me a message on Instagram at Heather McConaughey and say what you learned. Tell me what resonated for you. I love doing these episodes for you, and I will talk to you next week. I hope you loved this episode and found it helpful and educational. If you couldn't tell, I absolutely love talking about tracking and macros. I think it's such an amazing tool. It's the thing that really helped me transform my body, and it's a foundational part of my methodology now as a coach. If you feel like you're ready to learn this technique and transform your nutrition and body and confidence for good, then pop over to Apply to Empower, my 12-week coaching program, Empower the Summer Glow Up. We're going to start June 7th, but there's only 2 days left to apply. So go to my website, heathermcconaughey.com/empower and apply today.